Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a 2025 NBA mock draft reaction from Bleacher Report. Shout out the man Jonathan Wasserman, always getting the mock drafts out. It's never too early for mock draft season, so might as well start out with 2025. This is gonna be our second 20. No, I think this is our first 2025 mock draft reaction. ESPN released one, but I never reacted to it. Probably should have, but I didn't. So this is going to be after Paris Olympics. I'm not sure if that changes too much. I guess VJ Edgecombe played for Bahamas. Other than that, who else was able to play for a team outside of USA? I mean, obviously, you got guys like Cuba Gonzalez, Igor Demin, guys like that, but I didn't really notice they were playing for any team. But that's whatever. That's Paris Olympics. Let's react to our first 2025 NBA mock draft. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go into the description, submit your video ideas, and let's get right into it with the number one overall pick. No surprises here. It's going to be Cooper Flag to the Brooklyn Nets. I had this as well. I also had Brooklyn Nets as my last team or the first team to pick in the draft. We know what Cooper Flag is going to bring. Obviously, one of the best all-around defenders in this draft class, but also a very aggressive offensive player as well. Can play in the high post, can play in the dunker spot, and can even create his own shot from the top of the key, from the wing. I mean, he can really do it all on the court, and for that reason, I think he's the solidified number one player in this draft class. The Washington Wizards selecting Dylan Harper from Rutgers. I personally don't have Dylan Harper as high as two. I personally prefer his teammate Ace Bailey as a prospect over him. But to the Wizards, a team who needs some guard help, especially after I guess they didn't even really lose anybody. They brought in Malcolm Brogdon to be a good veteran, but they did draft Bub Carrington with the 14th overall pick. Maybe a future backcourt of Dylan Harper and Bub Carrington could serve well for that team. We know Dylan Harper to be a great isolation player, also a great point guard in itself. He's 6'5". I mean, some people have him at 6'6", but I think he's definitely 6'5". 6'5" point guard. Mentioned before and gotten to see him play at ERBO Peach Jam last year. So it's cool to see him as high as this, be such highly touted prospects. I think he's gonna be an elite scorer at the next level at Rutgers and potentially in the NBA. At 3, we have Ace Bailey going to Portland Trailblazers. This is kind of going to be the Grant replacement. They're both about 6'9", 6'10". I think Ace Bailey's probably taller than him. Obviously, Jeremy Grant's bigger, but Ace Bailey's taller. Um, Ace Bailey's an extremely versatile wing for Rutgers. I mean, his athleticism is crazy. He's also able to create a jump shot, being 6'10" with a 7+ wingspan. I definitely prefer him more necessarily in the post, but going downhill than maybe taking a step back or an isolation shot to create an own jump shot. I prefer Ace Bailey going downhill for sure. But as a replacement for Jeremy Grant, I like this a lot for the Portland Trailblazers. Going into their next, not generation, but I guess their next sort of rebuild. I guess you could call it generation. Who cares? Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Denny Avdia, or slash Ace Bailey, Denny Avdia, and then Donovan Clingan. I like the way that sounds, and I think the Blazers kind of have something cooking here. At 4, we have the Pistons taking VJ Edgecombe. So if they do take him, this would be the end of Jaden Ivey, or at least the end of him with the Detroit Pistons. Said that a little bit too dark. But yes, VJ Edgecombe here at number 4, the Detroit Pistons. He is an insane player. I've said it before. You could argue an Anthony Edwards type player comparison. He's such an aggressive downhill player. He's willing to dunk on anybody underneath the rim. And for that reason, and for the reason he was elite during the Olympics as well, VJ Edgecombe is kind of a lock to be a top 10 guy right now, unless he really flames out during the college season. So that's surprised we haven't seen Nolan Trior at this point yet. But Drake Powell going number 5 with Utah Jazz. I think this is the highest I've seen him so far. Obviously, in great wing going to North Carolina. I think that team next year with Elliot Cadeau, with RJ Davis, with Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, Cade Tyson as well, has a great chance to make a deep run in the tournament. Powell's a very athletic player. He's going to have to improve his catch and shooting a little bit, but I think time will tell. I mean, Greg Powell's going to be a great player. I don't know if I have him as high as 5. I definitely have guys like Gonzalez over him, Nolan Trier as well, especially to the Utah Jazz. I love that fit, but I guess Drake Powell here isn't too bad. At 6, we do have the Bulls getting Nolan Trier. I mean, if they really get Nolan Trier, crazy to see 2006, by the way. I mean, that's crazy young. But if they end up getting Nolan Trier, this is a step in a great direction for that team's rebuilds. You got Trier, maybe Kobe White. Can those two guys coexist in the same backcourt? Who knows? But it's a great corner piece because right now, who is really in that team's future? It's not Zach LaVine. It's not Nikola Vucevic. It's probably not Josh Giddey. Maybe Kobe White, but it would definitely be Nolan Trier. I like him a lot to the Chicago Bulls at 6. He's one of my favorite prospects in this year's draft class. At 7, we have the Hornets picking Rocco Zakarski, someone who I didn't have in my lottery draft. He's got solid touch around the rim. I'd say he's got solid, good touch around the rim, but mostly defensively is where you're going to see his impact. Lottery, I mean, okay, I could definitely see him being a lottery guy. 7 feels a little bit too high, but kind of have him around the 15 to 17 range. I think he'll definitely go in the first round, at least at this point. But yeah, lottery at 7, maybe a little bit too high, but honestly, to the Hornets specifically, if Mark Williams continues to get injured, I don't mind it. Trey Johnson going 8 to the Toronto Raptors, another guy who I didn't have in my lottery mock draft. He's a great shot maker, well, I don't know his exact stats, obviously, but he's a great catch and shoot guy as well. Athleticism slash going downhill, a little bit iffy. He's also has a very skinny, small frame considering he's 6'6". But if he can put on some more pounds, if he can prove that he's able to score going downhill as well, I have no problem putting Trey Johnson in my lottery. I just kept him out because I think there's still some questions with his game. At 9, we have the San Antonio Spurs selecting Kasparas I forgot to pronounce how to pronounce his last name. Jakasionis. From Illinois, though, he's one of the overseas guys that are coming to play college this season. I watched a lot of film on him. I didn't have him in my lottery because I was a little bit too unsure about how raw he'd be. But realistically, if I did a redo of that mock draft, I would definitely have him in my lottery. I like his game a lot. I think he's one of the most versatile scorers we have in this draft class. Can really score all 3 levels, going downhill, finding his spot in the mid-range, and also hitting an open three. He's also very solid on the defensive side of the ball as well, and I think lottery is definitely in sight for Kasparas going into next season. Asa Newell going number 10 to the San Antonio Spurs, being Victor Wembanyama's future front court member. Like this a lot. Newell, one of the best defenders we have in this draft class, at least protecting the rim, and also great touch around the rim as well on the offensive side of the ball. I like him a lot, especially 10 to the Spurs. I think the future front court of Newell and Wembanyama makes me excited for that team. My personal favorite, or I don't know if you guys heard that, but my personal favorite player in this year's NBA draft, Hugo Gonzalez, going number 11 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. If he seriously ended up going number 11 to the Thunder and they do not trade the pick, the Thunder are getting a steal because I think Hugo Gonzalez can potentially be a top 4, top 3, maybe even top 2 player in this mock draft. I mean, he's an all around type of type of guy. He's able to score on all 3 levels, but even then, he focuses more on the defensive side of the ball anyway. He's a great 3-point shooter, could definitely improve, but I'd say he's definitely a good 3-point shooter right now. Him going downhill is near unstoppable. His mid range, his touch around the rim as well. It's great. I think 11 is way too low for him. I think he could potentially be a top 5 guy going into the drafts. Conknoopel at number 12 to the Houston Rockets, a sharpshooter. Sure. I mean, Lee McNeely can do that. Conknoopel could do that. There's a couple guys who can fulfill that sharpshooter role. Craig Johnson as well. I like this fine. I mean, he's not going to get any playing time, especially on the Rockets right away, but he should be able to make good impacts right away at Duke, being a catch and shoot guy. Lottery is definitely a little bit too high because I think he's a bit limited on other sides of the ball. But shooting itself, I guess I'm cool at number 12. Colin Murray Boyles at 13 to the Atlanta Hawks as a powerful Draymond Green type, or I guess size. He's not the Draymond Green type passer yet, but I think he could definitely have the potential. Just a bully at the power forward position. He's only 6'7", 6'8". Let's see if he's listed at here. Doesn't exactly say it, but he's an undersized big for sure. But he's able to bang down low. He's able to finish with both hands. He's a great playmaker in the half court and in the paint as well. If he can develop that 3-point jump shot, Colin Murray Boyles can be a top 7 guy in this draft class. Guess that's going to be my hot take for the video. The Warriors are going to take Liam McNeely at 14. This is great. He's a sharpshooter. The Warriors love their sharpshooters, and especially at that forward position where they really don't have that right now. And guys like Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, who aren't great shooters. So bringing in a guy like Liam McNeely, kind of a fresh start. I like it a lot for the Golden State Warriors. Igor Dimon at 15 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Wow, 2 first-round picks in the top 15 for the Thunder. They can make some trades for sure. But he's more of a developmental type of guy, I think, at least in my opinion. He's a guy who could play point forward, who can manage from the high post, who can also manage from the short corner. I think he's a very versatile offensive player. Defensively, at least in my opinion, he needs a little bit more help. But him going downhill, him being able to create in the half court as well, I like it a lot. Yeah, but if the Thunder really take 2 rookies in this draft class, I'd be extremely confused. I doubt there's any trades because you cannot project that nearly a year before, but I like it. Jaleel Bethea at 16 to the New Orleans Pelicans. I think I had this projected as no, I had Donovan Freeman to the Pelicans. I had Bethea to the Warriors. I like Bethea at 16. I think he's going to have a lot of an opportunity this year at Miami, being one of the main scorers. It might be a little bit tough to get starting minutes right away, but as a six-man score for this Miami team, I like that a lot. I think he's a potential lottery guy. I like Jalil Bethea a lot. At 17, we have Noah Essengay to the Atlanta Hawks. He's a very athletic forward. He's also one of the youngest players in this draft class, but his touch around the rim, his athleticism in the paint as well, I like it a lot to the Hawks at 17. Team who's kind of looking to fill out that forward slash center position. Hopefully they move on from Clint Capella in the near future. We'll see if that happens. But if we do need to get somewhat of a replacement, maybe go behind Onyeka Kangru for this team's future center depth, Noah Essengay could do that. Kaman Balak at 18 to the Indiana Pacers. I had him a little bit high in my mock draft just because I thought the Bulls needed big man very badly. But I think Kaman Balak can still potentially do that at the college level. He played solid against Team USA. I mean, I didn't watch too much South Sudan games besides their two games against Team USA. He was slow during both of them. So if he can really do that at the next level, Kaman Malak can be a lottery pick in this year's draft. But he's a young guy. He's extremely raw. And he's a great shot blocker. He's a great lob finisher. But other than that, we're going to have to see him fill out more of his game. Donnie Freeman, 19 to the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, I've talked about him before. He's great, turnaround jump shots, finishing in the post, downhill as well. I like him a lot. I think he deserves to be a lottery guy, at least in my opinion. I think he's very versatile when he gets to low slash high post. To the Grizzlies, they do need some more big depth. They have obviously Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, Zach Edey as well, but they definitely need a couple more guys down there to really feel comfortable with that forward depth right there. I think Donovan Freeman can definitely bring that. At 20, we have Will Riley to the Houston Rockets. The Rockets have another team with two first round picks, or yeah, two first round picks. They picked Concanople in the other one. Will Riley, he's very talented in the high post and around the free throw line, where he's able to get a floater up, get a mid range up. He's a very elusive scorer as well, being able to finish at the rim. I like this. I think he's definitely a first round guy. To the Rockets, though, do they really need more guard help? I'm not sure. I'd love to see them pick another big man. At this point, who would exactly be available, I'm not exactly sure for them. But Will Riley deserves to be a first rounder. I like him number 20 to the Houston Rockets. Darian Reed from Alabama at number 21. He's a very athletic forward slash wing. I mean, he's a guy that can really get it done on both sides of the ball. He's just a very exciting player to watch, where he's able to make plays in the air, he's able to catch lobs, he's able to guard basically, I'm not going to say one through five, but he's able to guard both big man positions. He also can stretch it out to the wing as well. I like him a lot. To the Orlando Magic at 21. I think we'll have a pretty big season for Alabama. 22, we have the Jazz taking Michael Ruzic. If you're confused, this obviously Gershon Yabusele. This Michael Ruzic. Um, yeah, I had him in my lottery. Do I kind of regret that? Maybe a little bit. I think he'd definitely be more of a 20-ish guy. Could potentially be another guy who falls out of the first round entirely. But he's an extremely raw player. It's tough to even scout him right now because he's just a raw guy. But he's long. He can shoot the ball. NBA teams like that. So I guess the Jazz would like that too at number 22. At 23, we have the Nets taking Carter Bryant from Arizona. He's a very powerful, athletic wing. He's also a great defender as well. Downhill, I like him a lot. Creating his own jump shot may be somewhat spotty. I think he definitely still has it though, and I think if he develops that this year at Arizona, he could potentially be a lottery guy. But for right now, I definitely have him in the early 20s. To the Nets though, I think he's a great guy to continue building off of that rebuild. At 24, we have Jason Sanon or Sanon, out of Arizona State. I watched a lot of his film. What was it, 2 weeks ago? I mean, he's an extremely, extremely talented downhill scorer. Looks like no one can stop him going downhill. I mean, him, Nolan Trior, VJ Edgecombe, some guys that really cannot get stopped going downhill are so great finishing around the basket. He might have a little trouble, at least as a freshman for Arizona State. He can somewhat take bad shots sometimes, but if he can really develop and be a solid point guard right away for them, I think it'll be solid. Probably more of a shooting guard though, now that I think about it. At 25, we have Isaiah Evans out of Duke going to the Orlando Magic. Guy that can create his own shot, also score downhill, also very, very lanky and athletic at that wing position, can get in the passing lanes as well. Definitely tough to see how big of an impact he'll have right away at Duke. Will he even get ample playing time? Who knows? We'll see. He's definitely an interesting prospect. If he does get a lot of playing time, I think he could potentially be a top 20, maybe even higher draft pick in the draft. But if he doesn't, maybe slip to the second round, maybe end up as one of the Justin Edwards guys who was, I mean, rated a lot higher than Isaiah Evans coming out of high school. I mean, Justin Edwards was what, the number one guy at some point. Isaiah Evans a little bit lower than that. I mean, Justin Edwards fell out the whole entire draft. I think Isaiah Evans could fall into the second round, especially if he declares early. But if he does stay for a second season, I'd be excited to see what Isaiah Evans can bring for Duke. Dink Pate at 26 to the Utah Jazz. He's going to be playing for the Mexico City G League team next year, which is pretty cool. Obviously, he was playing for Ignite the year before, but that got shut down. So he's now have to play another place. He's a great shot maker and shot taker, honestly. He wasn't insanely efficient for G League Ignite last season, but he was also the youngest. What was he? The youngest American pro last year, which is crazy. But yeah, he wasn't insanely efficient. But this year, oh, shout out Joey Calcaterra too. I didn't see him right there. UConn basketball legend, not legend, but he got a chip. But yeah, interesting to see what Dink Pate will do this season. I'll watch him a little bit closer than other prospects because he's going to be on a G League team, Mexico City at that, an interesting place. So we'll see what Dink Pate can do. Can he improve his efficiency? Can he become more of a smarter player? Yes, he'll be a for sure first round guy. Kwame Evans, 27 to the OKC Thunder. An athletic, a freak athletic wing slash forward, I'd say. Probably more of a forward from Oregon. Had an okay season last year, struggled with some efficiency, but if he can go in next year being a great lob threat, pick and roll type of guy, maybe improve his perimeter scoring as well. I like Kwame Evans, and I think he should declare after this season, after there were some questions last year. Ian Jackson falling all the way to 28 for the Brooklyn Nets in this mock draft. We know what Ian Jackson brings. He's a great athletic wing. He's also a tough shot maker, tough shot taker, similar to what I said about Dink Pate. But he can get his own shot basically at will, or at least that's what it seemed like in his high school days. So at 28 to the Nets, I mean, they're kind of stacking in this draft class. I mean, who did they end up getting? They got obviously Ian Jackson. They got Cooper Flag at that. Um, Rocco's, oh, that's the Hornets, excuse me. Carter Bryant. So Carter Bryant, Ian Jackson, Cooper Flag. This is looking like a really good draft class for the Brooklyn Nets. And here the Nets are again at 28 or 29, excuse me, taking Ben Saraf out of Israel, I believe. I'm not exactly sure where he's from. I think it is Israel. And sorry if I'm also butchering the name. Well, I watched the film. Sometime the mute button was on though. At 30, we have the Celtics taking Alex Karaban out of UConn. I mean, definitely someone I could talk about a lot. He was someone who could have definitely um, declared for last year's draft. Would have been either a late first rounder, an early second rounder, most likely an early second rounder. He's a very solid defender. He has good size at about 6'8", and so obviously his 3-point shooting is what is going to attract most people. But he's also one of the best cutters in college basketball. I would make the statement that he was playing out the best cutter last year in college basketball. The Dan Hurley UConn system set him up for success. He has an opportunity to take more of a leadership role this year for UConn, being one of the more older guys on this team, the more experienced guy on this team. Already with 2 rings, he'll be looking to get his third. And I'm excited to see what Caravan and UConn can do next year. That's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and tell me your favorite prospects in the 2025 NBA draft. Who are you really looking forward to watch in the college basketball season, overseas as well? Just talk to me in the comment section. Peace.